Welcome to Heroes Rising, hosted by Sifu Raphael, a master instructor, public speaker, and the founder of Speaking Prowess. Known for his expertise in empowering individuals through the art of communication and leadership. Alongside him is co-host Jose Escobar, an acclaimed personal development speaker, 18-time published author, and founder of 2 thriving businesses, including the Connected Leaders Academy. Together, they bring you dynamic conversations with world-class entrepreneurs, industry icons, and visionaries. Heroes Rising is your go-to source for wisdom, motivation, and unstoppable growth. Join us and discover the hero within you.
Hi, Jose.
Hello, Nikki. Good day. Happy Friday. How are you?
Happy Friday. I am excellent. Excited to be alongside you today for the Heroes Rising show.
This is the first time I believe you and I have ever co-hosted anything, and I'm definitely equally excited. This should be fun. So yeah, really cool.
Yeah, we had a fun surprise pop in a couple of minutes ago too, so it's going to be interesting.
That surprise is not lasting very long because we're about to reveal the grand surprise. But let's bring in Scott first. Let's just bring in Scott first, and then we'll reveal the surprise.
All right, sounds good.
Hello.
Hello.
I feel terrible. I'm not a surprise, but
you are.
Why don't we start over and just say this?
Yeah, no. It's all good. I'll get over it.
Yeah.
I'll get over it.
We have 2 surprises today, folks. We have Scott Schilling here. Look at that. Amazing. All right. Now we have the second surprise. What's the second surprise, Nikki?
Oh, the second surprise is someone near and dear to our hearts. And we're flipping the script today, but I'm going to bring him onto the stage.
Boom. Look at this amazing guest. Can you guys believe Sifu Raphael is a guest on his own show? Man, that's next level.
I don't know how I did it, but thank you for having me on this incredible show.
That's amazing. Wow. Yeah. Whoever created this show is brilliant. That's just phenomenal. So yeah, let's
absolutely. We have a great topic today, the power of purposeful growth. And I am excited to hear what you all have to say about what that means to you. So who would like to start us off?
I'm going to shoot it to Scott.
Yeah, I'm the non-surprise. So purposeful growth. Growth is a wonderful thing. We've all been put on the planet to continue to grow and expand and touch more bodies, touch more people, do all those kinds of wonderful things. But it's really purposeful growth. It's interesting. Multiple calls I've had this week. I've talked with people about their organizations, and there's some people that are really out there struggling a bunch. And we started talking about core values. And without core values, how do you know where you're going? Right. And he said, so you have core values. I said, not only do I have them, I publish them, I do that. And my life purpose statement is to inspire and empower others to serve humanity through living their life's purpose in spirit, love, and joy. It becomes the filter by which I look at opportunities, like being on a show and joining you, to inspire and empower others to serve humanity. That's the audience. Through living their life's purpose, let's give them some good things that grows them. In spirit, closer to God than I've ever been. Love my wife, my family, my friends more than I ever have, and joy. I have joy doing this. So if you don't have that purposeful side to what you're doing, you're going to end up in a place you probably don't want to be, and you might even not know how you got there, right? You're just kind of following things as opposed to having some directions along the way. So for me, purposeful growth and core values are extremely important. They become the foundation to virtually everything.
I loved what you talked about, Scott, and the foundation. I'm thinking of growth with setting the roots, right? You need the soil. You need a rich soil. You can't grow in concrete unless you're a weed. And sometimes even those grow where you don't want them. But to have a purpose, to align yourself, I think sometimes you need the help, right? If you're a seed, you need somebody to plant you. You need a farmer to tend to you, to wet you, to water you, to fertilize you. So you need a community, especially what Jose has created. He's created an incredible and beautiful community that I'm excited that I'm part of it. And thank you, Jose, for allowing me to be part of it. And I know Nikki's part of it also. And I know one day we're going to get Scott there. But when you think about growth, and the purpose of growth is to keep expanding who you are. Was an oak tree didn't start out. And the only way it grew, even in the forest, something had to nurture it. The sun, the rain, the soil. And those things are like 200 feet tall or whatnot. And it started from tiny little things. So are you growing, and how often? I like to grow every day, not wider, not taller, but here.
I love that because it's we have Pakistan and Ghana in the house. We're international attendees today. Great to see Aman. Great to see William. Thanks for joining us. So there's a great book by Rick Warren, The Purpose-Driven Life, right? Purpose-Driven Life. Everything we do in life, if we plan to get to where we want to get to, right? If we know what our destination B is from A, then we need to have intentionality behind it. We have to be very purposeful about what we're doing. Vision, if you have the right purpose, right, and you have the right alignment with what you're looking to achieve when it comes to intentionality, you can get there. But the reality, John Maxwell talks about this greatly. I'm a John Maxwell guy. Anybody else a John Maxwell guy? I mean, I'm a John Maxwell guy. So I love what he says. He says that you need to have a growth plan, right? A growth plan. So what is your growth plan? Every single day, you should have things that you do that are intentional for you to develop yourself personally and professionally. But we have to be better. We have to be improving. The Kaizen philosophy, 1%. If you're not improving by default, you are what? Decaying, right? You are eventually going to do this, because if you're plateauing, the next step from there is downhill. You don't plateau and then by default go uphill. It doesn't work that way, because everything uphill is worthwhile, and everything uphill takes work and takes energy and effort. So I truly, truly believe in purposeful growth, which is what we're talking about today. I think it's important. I think we need to be very intentional, very purposeful, and I think that makes all the difference.
Yeah, so many good things. And I love the Kaizen method, by the way. I have the book. I think it's something that is sustainable, that you can continue for your entire life. Just that 1% improvement, that small little gain. So for me, growth is one of my core values, personal growth specifically. And when I think of purposeful growth, I also think of meaningful growth. I remember when I spent 15 years teaching in elementary school, there was a lot of growth. I improved as a teacher, but there was some kind of a disconnect, and I didn't feel fulfilled on the inside like I felt like I should feel based on what everybody else was saying and doing. So for me, meaningful growth, it's got to be something that is meaningful to me. And like Jose said, alignment. When you're aligned with what you want to do and your intention, that's where growth just feels really good.
It's interesting. The constant never-ending personal improvement, I mean, it's been the battle cry for a long time. But it was funny. One of my mentors, I said, all of a sudden I got a little huffy. John, I just don't feel like I'm doing enough, And he goes, just strive for 1% a day. I said, 1% a day. It doesn't sound like much, and he goes, I know you're an overachiever. He goes, I get 365% a year isn't enough for you. Oh, my bad. You don't realize that taking that positive step is a positive step, and that you're going and doing it. And a lot of them aren't fun. A lot of them, aren't necessarily immediately rewarding, which the other side of constant never ending personal improvement is learning delayed gratification, right? is being able to go, yeah, that'll pay off someday. Which then leads right into faith, which then right. You've got to be in a situation. It's interesting. I have been writing a new presentation, and it made me look back to when I was deciding where to go to college. And one college football coach said, son, you're not good enough to play in the Big Ten. I was like, well, that's rude. I didn't believe that. I had offers from a couple schools in the Big Ten and then a lot of other schools. I thought that was the school I always wanted to go to until he said that, because he wasn't going to take me anyway. So I ended up going to another Big Ten school. See, I still had the faith that I could go somewhere else, that I didn't have to settle when somebody said, you aren't good enough. Has anybody ever been told you're not good enough?
Mm-hmm.
Other than all of us?
A version of it, yes.
Yeah, right. And so, I think that's where, again, when you come with that purposeful side and that desire to continue to get better and continue to work at things, man, I wish I would have been done a long time ago, but I ain't close to done. I have just figured that out even more this week than anything else. So the good news is I can't wait for it all to come together. That's the fun part.
Mm.
Speaking of school and universities and Big Ten and everything you just mentioned, first of all, good to see you, Dr. Oliver T. Reed. Great to have you here with us today. And Jolene Constantino, great to see you as well. Awesome people in the house today. But anyhow, I've got to say, big shout out to my son. Just a little minor plug. He just got accepted into Embry-Riddle in Prescott, Arizona. So he's excited about that. He's looking to pursue aviation. And I say this because it goes in line with what I'm about to say. But we're excited. They call it the Harvard of the skies, right? Which is pretty cool. And I did a lot of research on it most recently. I didn't know about it up until he wanted to go there, because he wants to, be in operations of aviation. He wants to run an airport one day. So he's in the right place for that. So the cool thing about it is that I've always told Noah, as his name Noah, I've always told him when I drop him off to school, I've been driving him to and from school since he was in 4th grade, because he goes to a private school that's been when we used to live, it was an hour away each way. And then now, most recently, in the last 5 years, it's been half an hour each way, right? But I've been taking him to school since up until he got his driver's license, like 6 months ago, or whatever it was, right? So we've had that bond, the morning time of just spending time and talking to each other. And I would always tell him, Noah, be your best. Like, that's my line for him every single day, is just be your best, And I'm like, and your best. And he finishes the line. He's like, is good enough. He says it's good enough, right? Because at the end of the day, we have to be purposeful about giving our best at anything and everything that we do. Because they say how you do anything is how you do everything, right? And if you're going to do something, then just do it the right way. If you're going to do something, just give it your all. If you're going to do something, then don't just poke it with a stick, right? I don't care if you build a business on your spare non-productive time for 1 hour a day. That 1 hour better be all you got for that 1 hour, right? People are like, oh, I don't have 5 hours a week or I don't have 5 hours a day like you do to build a business, but you have 30 minutes a day, don't you? So just give those 30 minutes the best of what you have. And it's crazy, in 30 minutes, if you really apply yourself and do it right, you can milk out more in 30 minutes than most people can do in 8 hours, right? And that's the power of a morning routine and an evening routine, which is what I'm about, right? I'm a morning routine guy, evening routine, minus the Friday in the evening, because I don't have an evening routine on Friday nights. Yes. And minus when I'm on a business trip Sifu Raphael can tell you that. Inside joke. But outside of that, it's 4 to 7. I'm on. I am on. I've been up since 4 today. I met with one of my guys in Malta, friend of mine, Gaetano. We had our first call this morning at 5 a.m. Prior to that, I was pouring into me, and I've been going ever since. Right now, I feel like it's almost evening time because I've been going at it, right? But that's the reality, is that it doesn't matter how much time you put into something. What matters is it the best use of your time, and are you giving it your best with what you have, where you are in that moment? And that's what it's about. So I tell them all the time, be your best. Be your best, because you don't have a great day. You make it a great day. It is up to you.
Wow, I love that. And congratulations, Noah.
Yeah.
Congratulations when he starts flying us around the country, Jose.
Yeah.
I told him my vision is to have a private jet. Like, I will have a private jet, mark my words. I guess it's timestamped today because I'm saying it publicly, but part of my vision board is I'm going to have a private jet, and it's going to say Escobar Enterprises on it, or who knows, maybe Connect Leaders Academy, but whatever. It's going to happen. And when it happens, I know who's going to be flying me around.
And you have your buddy you have to pick up. Don't forget. I love this conversation. One thought that kept popping up in my mind is, if you don't get it right today, you have tomorrow to try. And it's okay to make mistakes, because at the end of every pencil is a good pencil is an eraser. Here's the thing. Why do we shower every day? Because we don't want to stink for the rest of the day. So sometimes I shower twice a day. Sometimes depends on what I'm doing. Sometimes it's multiple times.
Speak for yourself, Sifu. I don't do it every day. I'm just kidding.
I know what you mean, but
I'm just
hey.
kidding.
But here's the thing: when you don't think you're growing, you are. You are. You may be growing older. You may be growing wiser. And it helps if you surround yourself with the right people. Like everyone on this panel, my God, you guys are phenomenal. And I like saying it farm animal because it makes the kids laugh. But and I tell the kids, how you doing? And they're like, I go, you should say farm animal. They're like, what? And I said, yeah, you're phenomenal. And so when we can take the simple things like taking a shower, thinking I'm good enough, the first words you say to yourself when you wake up before anyone else has a chance to pour onto you, because they may not be pouring positivity into you. They may be going, what's wrong with you? You aren't here on time, blah, 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 blah. You start with you first. And I think that is where the power comes into your growth. Don't allow someone, like I told, somebody else may plant you, like your mom and your dad, right? For that seed they planted, but you decide how you grow. Seek the sun, seek the water, seek to be nurtured with incredible people like the ones on this panel.
I love that. I was just thinking, as I'm hearing this 4 a.m. time, I actually woke up this morning at 4:30. I had to use the bathroom. And I said to myself, it's too early to get up. I should get more sleep. And it's like, well, who says? I couldn't go back to sleep. So I played a 30-minute meditation, and I was awake I heard it end, and then I fell back to sleep. And then I felt more tired when the alarm went off. So this is going to make me kind of reframe the things that I say to myself. If I wake up at 4:30 and feel okay, I know at least Sifu and Jose are awake as well.
I was at my desk at 5 a.m. this morning too. Same thing. Woke up and it's like, well, I could try to go back to sleep, or I could just start getting after it. Let's get after it.
That's right. I love that.
Amen to both of those statements, but I will say very quickly, Jim Rohn said it best. He has a phenomenal quote that I actually used today. I was on Marianne's Summit today. Shout out to Reverend Dr. Marianne Pageant. Was speaking on sales, which you were too, Sifu, right before me, right? So, so I used a quote from Jim Rohn today, and it says, if you really want to do something, you will find a way. If you don't, you will find an excuse.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, the question comes down to, how bad do you want it? Do you get excited about waking up in the morning to start your day, or does it feel like oh, let me snooze? Because at the end of the day, If the first thing you start your day with is a snooze, you've taken the first L already, right? And my philosophy is I go to bed excited about the next day. I do some affirmations. I have a phenomenal evening routine. I program my brain what to think about when I'm sleeping, and then when I wake up, I am fired up. I'm excited. I'm not like, oh my gosh, it's Monday. Oh my gosh, it's Friday morning at 4. Oh, like no, I'm like, all right, let's do this thing. I'm excited. I already know what my next day looks like because I planned it the night before. And again, it's the little things that compound over time that make all the difference in people's lives. Whether it's good habits or bad habits, they're going to stack up. And the compound effect, I forget the guy's name, but Dan Hardy, the compound.
Darren Hardy.
Darren Hardy, yeah. That everything compounds over time, good and bad. So check your habits. What do your habits look like, right? What do the lack of good habits look like? So what are you doing with your time? Are you just passing time, or are you intentional? Are you purposeful? Very important.
Yeah.
Can I jump on this 5 a.m. Club that everybody keeps going on? Well, Jose knows that I'm up earlier than that, but here's the thing. If you're not up at those times, it's okay. It's okay. Maybe that's not your time. But I got to tell you, when Nikki said she was up at 4:30 because she had to go to the bathroom, that was your wake-up call. That was your wake-up call. And a lot of people, what they don't realize is that if I'm woken up at 3:27, which I have been plenty of times, and I go back to sleep, which I barely ever do, then my body is going to not feel good. So I listen to my body, because guess what? It wasn't me waking me up. It was God who woke me up. He goes, let's go. You got things to do. I've written books because of it. I haven't published them. Eventually I will, because I've gotten up at that early time. And it was something in my mind that I had to get out. Yeah, maybe I went to the bathroom, but then I got into journaling and writing. And sometimes I've been at the gym at 3 a.m. And like this morning, I was at the gym at 4:40, right? I worked out. I got home by 5:50. I was in the shower. I'm a cold shower guy, but here's the thing. Listen to your body. It speaks volumes. And the problem we have nowadays, if you want to have purposeful growth, is you need to listen. And that we all know, when communication is, if you take the word listen and move it around, what's the word that comes up?
Silent.
What? I love that word. They go hand in hand. They're almost holding little emoji hands, if you will, because you can't have one without the other. You can't. And the beauty in that is that when you wake up at that time, we have a great friend in common, Lancelot, Jose, and he just joined the CLA recently. And he and I went out to lunch, and he was talking about he used to have a hard time waking up, but his billionaire friend told him that's the time that you are in your most unique state. And you can tell us about that state, Jose. And he went from waking up at 7, 8 o'clock. He now wakes up at 3:30 every single morning, and he is in this state of creating. He's changed his life, and it's because he made the time for himself to do so. So if you don't believe in time for yourself, wherever time in the day it is for you, that's the time you need. You need time with you, because the best person you'll ever meet is looking at you in the mirror.
Very quickly, because I'd love to hear from Nikki and Scott on the same subject, because I like this subject. Actually, we should spend the whole entire call on the subject, but I've got to say, morning routine piece is, they say, this lady right here, I pulled her book, I had it right up there. It's called the High Five Habit, right? I'm not going to talk about the High Five Habit. Mel Robbins talks about a 5-second rule, right? And there's the 5-second rule as it applies to the morning and evening routine is as soon as your alarm goes off, you have 5 seconds to sit upright and breathe or whatever you got to do. You hit the off button on your alarm and you get up and you move, right? Because the reality is our mind is already ready to convince us why we don't need to wake up. If more than 5 seconds go by, you're going to start to have thoughts, automatic negative thoughts that are going to start to convince you to say, hey, it's okay to sleep in. Hey, you had a long day. Don't forget you have this to do today. You might want to get some rest. You deserve it. You worked hard yesterday. Oh my gosh, nobody's going to know. Like all of these negative thoughts are going to start to come up saying, it's okay. Do not get up. There's no need. You don't have to. Maybe Monday you'll start the whole thing. So to avoid that, you have 5 seconds to just move and do the thing, not think about it. Arnold Schwarzenegger wakes up bright and early. He goes to the gym at 4 a.m. I read this in his biography, the most recent one that just came out. And he says in his book, and I forget the name of the book, but it's the most recent one he put out. And he says, people ask him all the time, how in the world are you so disciplined to just get up at 4 a.m. and go work out and do like, not just going for a run or yoga or things like that. Nothing wrong with that. It's amazing. But he pumps iron heavy, like heavy weights so bright and early. And they're like, how in the world do you do that? How do you have the motivation? How are you so disciplined to do that? What is your secret? He said, my secret is I don't think. He said, my secret is I don't think. When I wake up, I don't think. I choose to not think, and I just do. I just get up and I move, and my shoes are right there, my shirt's right there. I brush my teeth. I have a system that I do, and I just know that I walk like a zombie through the motions, and I get out the door without thinking. And by the time I have time to think, I'm already in it. It's too late.
Wow. I love that. This is the first I've ever heard of I don't think. That's the answer.
Be Useful. That's the book. Thank you, James. Great to see you.
Be Useful. Hi, James. Yeah, and that's a great reminder, too, about the 5-second rule. I live by the 2-minute rule. I think it's James Clear who said that. If you could do something in 2 minutes, just do it. And I like that. It does get me going. And I end up going longer than 2 minutes because now I'm motivated. Let me just finish this task. But that 5-second rule, I'm going to use that tomorrow. Even though it's Saturday, I'm not going to make an excuse. I'm going to use the 5-second rule when my alarm goes up, or if I happen to open my eyes and wake up, I have 5 seconds to put my feet on the ground.
You know what, Nikki? You might as well just join my morning and evening routine mastery program for only 9 minutes. All right, let me stop. Let's keep going.
I got to say, when I was a kid, we knew the 10-second rule. If it fell on the floor, you got 10 seconds.
Right, the 10-second rule.
I love the Atomic Habits. Yes, that one is incredible. And I don't know, being that we're throwing books around, I don't know if you guys see this incredible book by a good friend of mine, right? You see my camera will move wherever I move because it wants to follow this book. And I got to tell you, every day, we have a chance to do things because of habit. So I am a habit freak. And what I mean by that is I do not allow my habits to control who I am. I control my habits. So as simple as which sock am I putting on today? Which one did I put on yesterday? What shoe am I putting on? So every little action I take, I am present for it. When I wake up, I don't know why I put an alarm, because I'm usually up anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour before my alarm. I put it on just in case, and that just in case has not happened for who knows in how long. I'm always up before my alarms. But if I'm sharing a room with somebody, sometimes I put an alarm for them. Hint, hint. Just in case they need to get up.
I wonder who that is.
I don't know either. But and sometimes I have people ask me, can you call me at this time? And I'm like, yeah, why? Well, I need to make sure I'm up so we can do this thing together. I'm like, wait a minute. You don't have an alarm? Yeah, but I keep hitting my alarm. I keep hitting the snooze button. I go, okay. Or sometimes they're at a hotel. I said, get the hotel to call you. Yeah, but they're rude. And when you call, you're so nice and so pleasant. I'm like, fine, I'll call. But here's the thing. We have an internal alarm. We just have to set the intentions. You can't physically set the alarm, but you set the intention here. And you say, listen, if you get up at 8 in the morning and you go, I'm going to get up tomorrow at 5 o'clock, baloney, you're not doing it. Don't eat bologna. It's not good for you. So don't do the extreme. Take small steps. So say tomorrow I'm going to get up 15 minutes, 10 minutes early. Anything earlier than your normal is better than your normal. So go a little bit. And every day, maybe you add a little bit more. But fight hitting that snooze button. I saw, just quickly, and then I'll be quiet. I saw something somewhere, and it was an alarm where the alarm would actually start ringing, and then the bed would start shaking, and then it would tilt and throw the person off. That's the alarm that so many people need. And if that's the alarm you need, invest in it. I'm done.
Listen, very quickly, we're just going to be interrupted very temporarily for a quick commercial from one of our sponsors. I wonder who that could be. Let's see.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JAESCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care. Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO. Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe.
Somebody loves that.
All over the world, all across the country.
There we go. Okay. There we go.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe.
Oh, you gotta love tech.
I can watch that over and over, and it's almost like watching a movie. It's more interesting, but it's not interesting enough until you join the Connected Leaders Academy.
I don't know what it is, but somebody had to hear that 3 times. Okay, so if that's you,
right.
just know it's for you. But anyway, going back to our subject of the power of purposeful growth. So I want to hear from all 3 of you. I'm curious to hear your perspective. When somebody says, you know what, I really want to be more consistent with this. I really want to implement this into my life, and I can't seem to find this pattern. I can't seem to find some structure. I can't seem to get the rhythm going to be more purposeful and get traction. I want to hear all 3 perspectives. What do you say to this person?
Well, I guess I'll go first. What do I say to that person? The very first thought that popped into my head, and I would say this to myself, is write it down. It's one thing for me to say it in my head. One thing I wanted to be more consistent about is engaging with my content that I put across platforms like LinkedIn. I'm really great at posting consistently, but then actually engaging with the comments is not a habit yet. And I've thought it in my head many, many times. Does my body follow? No. So I think writing it down, putting it on the calendar, scheduling it in, setting it as a task, a reminder where an alarm goes off, something, I think that could make a difference. So get it out of your mind and onto paper is what I would say.
Wonderful. Scott?
I think that I am got stacks of notes. So I am a huge kinesthetic, write it down, jam it into my brain through writing kind of guy myself. But I mean, I think that the biggest thing is take the step. Whatever that first action is. Again, I'm working on this presentation, and Martin Luther King said, you don't have to see the entire staircase. You just have to take the first step. And I think that becomes the thing in so many cases is, again, if you want to do something consistently, it starts with that first step. You've got to make the move and do it. You're going to learn something from it every time. The only way to obtain feedback is to take an action. If you're static, I had a coaching client one time that said, I'm stuck. I said, good, move. They said, no, you don't understand. I'm stuck. I said, yes, I do. Move. And they said, no, I'm really stuck. I said, good, really move. And they said, what are you saying? I said, can you feel your right foot? They said, yeah. I said, move it. They go, I did. Good. You're not stuck. It sounds really minute, but it is, right? I mean, you have to take an action toward the new goal, and hopefully you do that repeatedly, or you have friends that hold you accountable or remind you of your desire to get there, not for their reasons, but for yours, and then go pursue it.
Love it. Sifu.
I was going to defer back to you, Jose. You answer first so I can say ditto afterwards.
Well, they say when you're talking, you're not learning. So I'm in the mood to learn right now.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Consistency is something that you do without thinking. You brush your teeth, I hope, daily, maybe multiple times. Consistency for me is something that you don't have to think about. When the action gives you the results you want, you don't think about it. So consistency is just do it, even if it hurts. You can't build muscles without consistently going to the gym or doing push-ups or anything else. Without that consistency is going to build something. And when you can see the end result, the consistency becomes what I talked about earlier as a habit. And I think the habit is what you can build inside of you. And then all of a sudden people go, wow, he's consistently. I had a child the other day who passed late. And I looked at his card and I said, hey, you know what? It's not the child's fault because he's not driving. It's the parents' fault. I said it to everybody. I said, one thing I love about you, you're consistent. And then I looked at the parent, you're consistently late. I said, but we can change that. We can make it better. So are you consistently doing something positive or doing something negative? Because consistency is negative for me. You consistently getting drunk on the weekend. So you consistently eating the wrong foods and then blaming society, blaming the fast food place. That doesn't mean you have to go there. That doesn't mean you have to pick up a burger every time you pass by a place or a hot dog or pizza. You can have it because your habit should be consistent based on your goals.
Love it. Thank you. And just so you know, your audio is a little bit kind of in and out. I don't know if it was just me or if you guys heard that too, but we did hear you. We did hear you. Great perspective.
Sorry.
In terms of, I guess my 2 cents on this thing, I always like to hear other people's perspectives because it enlarges my own, right? That's what it's about. And I can tell you that there's this popular quote that I've heard from 2 different mentors coincidentally. I still don't know who said it. Maybe ChatGPT can tell me, but It's a quote that says, commitment to continuity establishes emotional stability. So I'll say it one more time. Commitment to continuity establishes emotional stability. One of the biggest challenges with people being consistent is their lack of emotional stability. They're constantly like this, up and down, motivated, demotivated, excited, not excited, happy, upset, all the things. It's like an emotional roller coaster. And if you can just, as you said, you don't need to see the whole staircase, right? You just need to see the one step, right? If you can just put one foot in front of the other, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a simple step, right? So you just got to put one foot in front of the other. And what's going to happen is, again, everything compounds over time. Just like the philosophy in Atomic Habits, where if you want to get into the habit of, what is this called? Flossing all of your teeth every single day, but you're not used to that. You're not going to start by flossing all of your teeth because most people are going to fall off the wagon. You're going to start by flossing one tooth a night, just quickly and every single night. And if you do one, eventually you're going to do 2 or 3. And then eventually you're going to do the whole top row. And then eventually it's going to be not a big deal to do the whole thing. And before you know it, it's just a part of who you are. And it becomes muscle memory. It becomes a habit. It becomes a stronghold in your mind. It becomes, it gets to the level of automaticity. And that's where you want to be, especially when it comes to consistency on anything that you're doing. And the reality is, all of us are consistent in some things. But the reality is, most of the things we're consistent in don't take much effort. And that's the problem, right? We have to gauge ourselves and ask ourselves all the time, is what I'm doing serving me? Is what I'm doing helping me get into a better position in terms of getting closer to my goals? If the answer is no, then the question remains, why are you doing it? Right? Why are you doing it? So it's amazing what can come to fruition in our thoughts that lead to our actions if we just ask ourselves the right questions. But a lot of times we don't ask ourselves questions. You know why? Because the only things we hear is what other people say in our circles and our networks. It's only what they say on TV. It's what they say on the radio. It's what they hear on music. Like, people are in the car listening to music. Whatever happened to maybe just being silent and driving in silence and thinking to your own thoughts? Whatever happened to meditation and private prayer and just being in silence, just not listening to the noise of the world and just saying, and ask yourself the questions? Maybe journaling. That's why journaling is a powerful thing. When you start to ask yourself questions, deep diving questions, some of them that might even sting, it's going to be amazing what is revealed to you. And only when you ask yourself the questions, right? Because you remember, your thoughts become words, and your words become actions, and your actions turn into habits over time. And the habits over time become your character. And then your character carves out your destiny. That came from a quote. I don't know who said that either. But my point, I didn't make that up, by the way. So I got to say that it all goes back to the importance of installing the right behaviors. And if you have the right behaviors, over time, it becomes a habit. You don't break a habit. You replace a negative behavior with a positive behavior. That's all it is. Okay, if I don't want to check my phone every 5 seconds, then maybe I should, the other behavior is have a book with me at all times. I have a book and I have a cell phone, and make a book a daily carry. So wherever you are, the minute you want to do this, you say, no, I'm going to do this. And you just open the book. All right. And I guarantee you'll finish more books that way. But anyway, food for thought.
Yeah, I love that. You do have to replace the habit. We don't break habits. So find something to replace it with is key. Have you read Tiny Habits, BJ Fogg? He talks about taking a habit that you already have and then adding onto it the new habit that you want to cultivate, and then experiencing a positive emotion. So let's say you want to floss your teeth. You take something that you'll do every day, like when I turn off the sink, right? Turn off the sink after brushing, I floss one tooth, and then I smile and feel good. And you get that hit of dopamine, which then makes you want to floss that one tooth. So by pairing it with something you already do, and it's a tiny habit, it's just flossing one tooth, it's easier for you to do. You're more likely to do it.
Yep.
By the way, I have to floss every single night, and I almost want to what do you call that when you look at something and you go backwards and you make a plan? I'm losing the word for what it is, but I floss every single night. I can't even count on one hand how many times I skipped flossing in the last 20 years.
Wow.
That's how much I floss my teeth. So we can go back to identity. I can say I'm the kind of person that is consistent. I consistently floss. And if I can do that, that means I can consistently get up before the alarm, just on my body clock alarm, whether that's 4:30 in the morning or 5 a.m. And it helps me to buy into that I can do it, because it's an area that I don't have evidence yet that I can do that. So it's almost like borrowing where in your life you have evidence that you can do something, and then using that in the other area where you want to grow.
What you're describing, Nikki, which I absolutely love, is exactly what I talk about in, where is it? Not in this book. Exactly what I talk about on my course, the Morning Evening Routine Mastery. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's in the book. It's not in the book. And it's affirmations, right? The power of affirmations. What I do is I brainwash myself every morning and every night. In the evening and morning routine, the bookends of my day is what I call it. I brainwash myself to believe what I want to believe. And I am statements. I am this, I am this, I am this, I am this. And a lot of the stuff that I've said here, way before it was actually reality, became a reality in my life, in so many ways. It's crazy looking back in hindsight what has come to fruition because of the power of you show up differently. You start to behave your way into what you believe, and you have to counteract all the thoughts in your mind and all the limiting beliefs that we have and all the things that we grew up with and the old tapes that keep playing and keep playing and keep playing. As a matter of fact, I was just at an event, Beyond Impossible in Canada, with Danny Z. Shout out to Danny Z. And there was a gentleman there, Randy. I forget his last name, but Randy was there, and he was talking about files. And he said, in our minds, we have these negative files, these negative thoughts that are things that might have happened to us. It could be a trauma of some kind, and people can't seem to move forward from these traumas in their lives. And they go to professional counselors or psychologists, and they sit down with them, and they talk about what's in the file. And he said they just talk about this issue over. Tell me about how you feel about this. Can you recall when this happened? How were you feeling? And they go into this thing for months, years, and decades talking about the file, and the person can never seem to move on with their life because they still are thinking about the file. So he said the secret, his secret sauce and what he teaches is a new method where he says, this file, throw it away and stop talking about the file and replace that file with a new file and talk about that file and replace the file. And all of a sudden you start thinking differently. So it's the same thing in terms of mindset, right? You are your thoughts, and your thoughts become things. That's why Napoleon Hill talks about everything in life is created twice, first in the mind's eye and then in the physical plane, right? Think and Grow Rich. So with that being said, before we move on, we're going to go to our other sponsor. Bear with me one second. Let's go to the amazing program done by Sifu Raphael himself that all of us on this screen are actually a part of, and others, including my wife. Let's go right to it.
You followed the rules, tried the restrictions, counted the carbs, the steps, and the failures. You're not lazy, you're exhausted from doing it all without real change. What if the problem isn't you, but the plan? Sifu's Mind Body Method is a 90-day transformation built on 7 unshakable pillars: mindset, movement, nutrition, hydration, fasting, journaling, and faith. This isn't another shortcut. It's your structure, your strength, your reset. You don't need harder, you need better. Ready to begin? Your momentum is waiting. Ta-da!
That's good.
Can I sign up again? My goodness.
First time I've seen that.
I'll take you twice.
Hey, Jose, can I share something what came to me, and this is going to be a very vulnerable point. December 14th was the 10-year anniversary of my near-death experience.
Mm.
And so I did a gratitude video, just giving God the credit for being here. But that's not what I want to do is when I came through that, I felt like it was given to me and for me, not done to me. Okay. And I really felt a purpose behind it to share the experience with others if they had come through it and were wondering, or hadn't come through, or were just, I felt like I was supposed to use that experience. 5 years later, I wrote a book about it, and the book launched to a wonderful thud. And it confused me. But this goes back to your file thing. It was a file that I found myself. This is, like I say, I've never said this stuff before. But I found myself being so tied to that. I don't know how to say it. Not for me, but to utilize it for others. But I got caught in it, if that makes sense. So I love the file idea. And quite frankly, after I did that gratitude video, I said, hey, I've been, 10 years. God gets all the glory. It was his grace, mercy, and favor. It's time for me to live it out the rest of the time. And I've worked to kind of not even talk about it because it's that file. And so what you said, I just want to validate what you said, not that my word makes that difference for you. What you said is right. We get caught in talking about, even if it's for the right reason or for a good reason or for what you think is a good reason. And so thanks for that. That was a huge reminder to me.
Thank you for sharing with vulnerability. I mean, I think that's what life's about, is being vulnerable, because we can never grow unless we're willing to be vulnerable, right? I think vulnerability is a strength. It's a tremendous asset to life and to us. So the fact that you shared that is very powerful. And I don't want to take credit for the file idea. That's Randy Taylor. Randy Taylor is the founder of Taylor Made Leadership. So if anybody wants to research Randy Taylor, he's an amazing guy, phenomenal entrepreneur and leader. He's in give back mode now in his career. He's basically, I think he said he's 70 or something like that. And he's just kind of in give back mode, but phenomenal guy. And yes, that is so true. And I love what you said, Scott. Thank you for sharing that.
No, thank you.
Beautiful. That's why it's great to have these conversations. It brings awareness. And also sometimes when we're ready to hear something, we receive it in a different way. And it opens something up and contributes to deeper growth.
Well, I am beyond grateful that I know all of you. Scott and I usually talk every Monday, and yeah, he's just an incredible human being, and thank God you're still around here implementing and busting my chops as well. I love that part. But I want to thank Jose and Nikki for having me on the show. Wow, what a great pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, it was great to have you on as a guest today.
It was a pleasure having both of you. Oh, actually, yeah, both of you on the show. And it looks like my 2.5-year-old wants to get on the show too, because he's screaming in the hallway. Maybe he's trying to get hurt or something. I don't know. I had to mute myself. He's like screaming like a banshee back there.
It was a great topic, and we had lots of interaction in the comments. So thank you, everybody who added to the conversation. We see you.
So one thing I'll say to kind of put a bow on today before we kind of give our final thoughts here, if that's okay, is as an action item, what I encourage all of you who are here watching live or catching a replay, I would love for you to consider the following. Where are you lacking purpose in your life? It's a powerful question. And we all None of us have arrived. We're all white belts in this world because there's a constant evolution of lifelong learning here, right? And anybody who has achieved anything in life and has created massive impact in the world would probably agree with what I'm saying. It's about lifelong learning. We never arrive. This is a journey. So where are you lacking purpose today? Whether it's personal and professional or both. Where are you lacking this intentionality for being better, for just growing, right? As a human first, because again, you have to be a phenomenal person. You have to be fulfilled. You have to have all of the things to be at your best in order to show up for everyone else. And that's called business. You cannot give what you do not have. You cannot pour out of an empty cup. You cannot be completely drained and depressed and out of it and then say, hey, let me help you. You have to take care of you first, right? You got to clean in front of your own doorstep before you can change the world. So where are you lacking purpose? Ask yourself that question. Journal about it. Journal about it. Put a plan together. Focus on one thing. Don't focus on 10 or 15 things. Do one thing and say, this one thing for the next 30 days, I'm going to be as purposeful, as intentional as possible, and watch what happens in your life.
Wow, powerful. I got to say one thing, if you don't mind. That really touches on so many different levels. And if you're not growing, what are you doing? So the reason I have to go off in about 4 minutes is because I'm interviewing a coach I may hire, right? Because I don't know all the answers. So in a couple of minutes, I'm going to be interviewing somebody and see if they're worthy of my time to spend with them and for them to take my money. So because guess what? I never want a coach who's free. I want somebody who believes in themselves, and they're going to have a coach themselves. Every coach, every mentor I've ever worked with has always been elevating themselves. So for me, my growth comes from you guys, and it comes from somebody else who I may have to pay them, but I'm making an educated decision because I'm not just going to hire them. I'm going to make sure they deliver what I'm looking for. So everybody out there, if you don't have a coach, I'm going to introduce you to Nikki. I'm going to introduce you to Jose. I'm going to introduce you to Scott. And if by any chance you want this guy, you know how to find me. Thank you.
Amazing.
Awesome. Totally agree.
So final thoughts, Scott and Nikki.
You know, it's been one heck of a week. Some would describe it different than that. But the fact is, you know, you're still upright, you're still doing, taking nourishment, and you're still working to do good things for all the right reasons. And it doesn't matter who you are. You all take, I mean, you know, we all take body blows at some point in time, and it's the purpose that keeps driving you through it, right? Or seeing that things are done for us and not to us. And to, you know, sometimes we're slow learners. At least I am. You know, you need repeated lessons to finally let it sink in. And so no matter where you are, it's right. You're enough. Whatever you don't know now, you can learn. You know, now you know more, so now you can do better. You've done the best you could to get to where you are. Just keep on learning. Keep on growing. Watch shows like this. Work with the folks that are on this panel. Just take input. I mean, whether Jose created the file idea or not, he shared it. And it was that put me in a totally different place today. And I thank you for that. That's what this is all about.
Wonderful. Thank you, Scott and Sifu. Nikki.
Final thought for me is take a pause and go inside and ask yourself, what do I need right here in this moment? What would serve me best? spend more time in quiet, write those thoughts that are in your mind onto paper, like we've been talking about, journaling, and start to get curious. Approach them from a place of curiosity versus judgment. More like, oh, interesting. I just noticed that I told myself it's 4:30 a.m. It's too early to get up. Who says? And start reframing those thoughts.
I'm going to boogie because I got to interview that coach. And yes, somebody said, can you interview a coach? Hey, guess what? If I ever went to a job interview, I'm going to interview them. Do I want to work for them? Hello. So interview anybody who you're going to give money to. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for having me on the show. What a great show, you guys.
Anytime.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for being here live. Thank you for the replay. Thank you for all the amazing speakers, the guests, Sifu Raphael, Scott Schilling. You guys are amazing, phenomenal. Nikki, thank you for co-hosting with me. You were amazing as always. And we will leave you all with that. I have a call right now too, anyway, too. So take care, everybody.
Bye, everybody. See ya.